Ishmael, the first son of Abraham and Hagar, assumes a crucial role within the complex landscape of Judeo-Christian and Islamic traditions. His narrative finds deep roots in the Old Testament, especially in the book of Genesis 12 verse 2. In this verse, God, in direct conversation with Abraham, pronounces a promise that echoes like a perpetual divine covenant. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. Here, God outlines a grand path for Abraham, assuring him not only of a vast offspring, but also of a blessing that would extend across generations. This promise is essential for understanding the context in which Abraham and Sarah found themselves. Picture this scene: Abraham and Sarah, already elderly, with the weight of years on their shoulders, receive from God the promise of an extraordinary lineage. For Sarah, who had faced infertility since youth, the idea of conceiving naturally seemed a distant and distressing possibility. The long wait brought increasing frustration. Abraham and Sarah, amidst uncertainty, began to wonder if the divine promise would truly come to fruition and how God would overcome the apparent natural limitations. Faced with this anxiety, Sarah suggests a human alternative: that Abraham have a child with Hagar, her servant, taking her as a concubine. Such a decision reflects not only Sarah's impatience, but also the attempt to intervene in divine plans to hasten their fulfillment. The narrative takes a significant turn when Hagar, following Sarah's instructions, becomes pregnant. At that time, Abraham's nomadic society placed great value on family and marital ties. In this context, using a servant to bear children was an accepted cultural practice, a solution to ensure the continuity of the lineage and protect the family legacy. Abraham and Sarah, influenced by these cultural pressures, faced the challenge of a divine promise that seemed impossible due to their advanced age, which intensified Sarah's impatience in light of her ongoing infertility and the cultural demands surrounding them. Sarah's proposal for Abraham to take Hagar as a concubine, in an effort to secure the promise of a large offspring, reveals both the cultural pressure of the time and the growing impatience caused by the prolonged wait. As the tension mounted, Sarah's frustration reached a critical point, leading her to treat Hagar with extreme severity, even to the point of threatening her life. Oppressed and without an escape, Hagar makes the difficult decision to flee to the desert, seeking to escape the suffocating situation and find relief. This flight clearly illustrates the dangers that arise when impatience governs our actions, leading us to hasty choices instead of waiting and trusting in God's plans and timing. Alone in the desert and overwhelmed by despair, Hagar experiences an unexpected divine intervention. An angel of the Lord appears to her, bringing words of comfort and a revelation about the future. The celestial messenger announces that the son Hagar is expecting will be named Ishmael, which means God has heard, symbolizing that the Lord has heard her cry amid her affliction. This divine encounter not only eases Hagar's troubled heart, but also highlights the importance of trusting in God's plans, even in the most challenging circumstances. The message received brings not only comfort, but also profound meaning to the destiny of the child Hagar carries. The narrative takes a new direction when Hagar, encouraged by the prophetic word she received, decides to return to Abraham's house. This return not only reaffirms her ties to the family, but also marks the beginning of the fulfillment of God's purpose for Ishmael. Upon returning, Hagar finds an environment where Abraham's love for his firstborn is evident. Abraham, far from hiding his affection, welcomes Ishmael with warmth and care, recognizing him as a central part of his life and God's promise. This paternal bond intensifies further when Abraham, in search of divine blessings, pleads with God to also bless Ishmael. In response, the Lord, in his immense mercy, renews his promise to Abraham, assuring that Ishmael would be blessed and that a great nation would arise from him, thus fulfilling a vital part of the divine plan. However, the trajectory of Abraham's family takes a new turn when God reiterates the promise that Sarah, despite her advanced age, would still conceive a son. Upon receiving this unexpected news, Sarah reacts with an internal laugh, a result of decades of waiting and her struggle to believe. This laughter reveals her disbelief in what seemed to be an impossibility for human nature. God, noticing Sarah's laughter, kindly questions, "Why did Sarah laugh?" This moment emphasizes both divine omniscience and the way God deeply engages with human emotions, seeking to transform Sarah's skepticism into true faith. The birth of Isaac, whose name means laughter, represents not only the fulfillment of God's promise, but also Sarah's spiritual renewal, where her laughter of disbelief is transformed into joy as she witnesses the power and faithfulness of God in action. The arrival of Isaac, however, not only brings joy, but also intensifies the existing tensions within the family dynamics. The resentment that had built up in Sarah, due to years of waiting and the presence of Ishmael, her firstborn, further complicated interactions among family members. Ishmael, now identified as the rejected son, began to grapple with serious doubts about his identity. The tensions reached a climax when Sarah, unable to tolerate Ishmael's presence alongside Isaac, makes a painful request to Abraham that he expel Hagar and Ishmael into the desert. This intense and painful request reflects not only Sarah's conflicting feelings, but also the harsh reality of a family struggling to balance divine promises with human challenges and unstable family relationships. In the vast and arid desert, Hagar and Ishmael face the crushing weight of loneliness and the anguish of uncertainty. The Bible highlights the intense pain Hagar endures as she witnesses her beloved son Ishmael suffering through the relentless adversities of the desolate environment. At a decisive moment, their situation becomes unsustainable. Water, an essential element for life, begins to run out, and the looming threat of dying from thirst casts a sinister shadow over them. Faced with this unbearable suffering, Hagar, consumed by despair, places Ishmael under the shade of a tree, unable to bear the sight of her son succumbing before her eyes. At the height of this impending tragedy, God intervenes with a gesture of compassion. An angel of the Lord, sent from heaven, calls out to Hagar and asks her about the nature of her suffering, bringing words of comfort and renewed hope. In a divine declaration, the angel informs Hagar that God has heard the anguished cries of Ishmael. He assures Hagar that her son will not only be safeguarded, but will also have a promising future ahead. The divine messenger states that Ishmael will become the ancestor of a great nation, thus dispelling the clouds of despair that surrounded them. In this moment of revelation, God, in His infinite goodness, opens Hagar's eyes to a miracle. A well of water appears nearby, allowing her to quench Ishmael's thirst. This source of water, an extraordinary gift from the Lord, not only preserves the lives of Hagar and Ishmael in the unforgiving desert, but also represents God's answer to Hagar's fervent prayers and the manifestation of His sovereign provision. In this emotionally charged episode, we are reminded of God's profound love and care, which not only hears our cries amid life's difficulties, but also grants us unexpected miracles that transform despair into hope and imminent death into renewed life. Following this divine intervention, the lives of Hagar and Ishmael flourish under God's constant watchfulness. Ishmael, strengthened by the challenges he faced, develops skills and courage, becoming a skilled hunter and an expert with the bow and arrow. With the love and guidance of his mother, Hagar, Ishmael embarks on a marital journey that transcends cultural boundaries. With wisdom and discernment, Hagar arranges an Egyptian marriage for her son, thereby weaving together the traditions of two distinct peoples. The biblical narrative states that Ishmael had 12 sons, who are recognized as the ancestors of various Arab tribes, highlighting the diversity and richness of the connections that extend throughout history. As Ishmael matures, he establishes himself in the wilderness of Paran, where he continues to thrive and becomes a respected figure within his community. Regarding Isaac's lineage, we witness the fulfillment of the divine promise made to Abraham and Sarah, even in light of their age limitations. Isaac becomes the anticipated son and the chosen lineage through which God establishes his everlasting covenant. The story of Isaac emphasizes the faith of his parents and the divine faithfulness, even in seemingly impossible circumstances. Isaac marries Rebekah, and together they have twin sons, Esau and Jacob. Jacob, later renamed Israel, becomes the heir of divine promises and the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel. God renews the covenant with Jacob, reaffirming the blessings promised to Abraham. Isaac's descendants play a fundamental role in the biblical narrative, including the continuation of divine promises, the formation of the nation of Israel, and the development of traditions that culminate in the birth of Jesus Christ. Furthermore, the scriptures reveal the interconnectedness between the lineages of Ishmael and Isaac, half-brothers whose narratives are intertwined. The marriage of Esau, son of Isaac, to Mahalath, daughter of Ishmael, attests to the continuity of familial and cultural relations between these two distinct lineages. The biblical narrative also emphasizes that, at a crucial moment, Ishmael and Isaac join forces to fulfill the filial duty of burying their father, Abraham, in the cave of Machpelah. This action not only underscores their family connection, but also symbolizes the overcoming of past grievances in the name of respect and filial duty. When we examine the conclusion of Ishmael's life, the scriptures affirm that he lived to be 137 years old. His last breath marked the end of his earthly journey. Although the scriptures do not specify the cause of his death, the biblical account highlights the conclusion of his existence on earth. The term Ishmaelite, derived from these events, transcends the definition of a specific lineage and evolves into a designation for the many descendants of Ishmael, thereby fulfilling the divine promise made to Hagar and Abraham. These Ishmaelites, often associated with nomadic groups roaming the vast desert regions near the Arabian Peninsula, continue to play a significant role in biblical history and beyond. Throughout the ages, the narratives of Ishmael and Isaac not only underscore the importance of divine promises, but also reveal the intrinsic complexity of family relationships. The interactions among their descendants over the centuries have shaped not only the history of various peoples, but have also contributed to the formation of cultures and traditions that endure to this day. The Bible documents the establishment of the 12 tribes of Israel through Jacob, while Ishmael is recognized as the patriarch of numerous Arab nations, emphasizing the richness and variety of the legacy left by both for future generations. Moreover, the dynamics between the lineages of Ishmael and Isaac, despite being fraught with conflict, also stand as a testament to the human capacity for overcoming challenges and reconciling differences. The alliances formed between these two lineages, such as the marriage of Esau and Mahalath, demonstrate that, despite differences and rivalries, the pursuit of familial and cultural connections is a fundamental aspect of the human experience. These stories illustrate that God's plan often unfolds in surprising ways, bringing together individuals and peoples in manners that transcend human limitations. This expansive narrative invites us to reflect on how God's promises manifest in our own lives and how our individual stories intertwine with those of others, often in ways that elude our understanding. The journey of Ishmael and Isaac continues to inspire us to acknowledge the significance of trusting in divine purposes, even in the face of life's adversities and uncertainties. In summary, the narrative of Ishmael and Isaac serves as a rich testament to the complexity of the human experience and the depth of divine providence. Through the trials and tribulations faced by these figures, we are reminded that every challenge presents an opportunity for growth in faith and trust in God. Their story not only recounts historical events, but also offers vital lessons that remain relevant to us today. Hagar's journey, transitioning from an oppressed servant to a blessed mother, illustrates how vulnerability can be transformed into strength through divine intervention. Her encounter with the angel of the Lord represents not just a shift in destiny, but also an affirmation of the value that God places on every individual. regardless of their circumstances. This encourages us to recognize our own dignity and the potential we have to impact the world around us. Additionally, Abraham's role as a model of faith teaches us about the importance of responding to divine calling with willingness and courage. His readiness to follow God's instructions, even amid uncertainty, exemplifies how genuine faith can lead to extraordinary outcomes. He is not just the father of a great nation, but also a symbol of the hope and promise that God extends to all of us. As we reflect on the legacy left by Ishmael and Isaac, it becomes evident that their stories intertwine with the broader narrative of humanity on a deeper level. They remind us that the journey of faith is often marked by difficulties, but also by joys and rewards. The resilience shown by their descendants throughout generations serves as a testament to the human capacity to unite and thrive, even in the face of adversity. Ultimately, these stories call us to action. We are invited to apply the lessons learned in our own lives, continually seeking unity, love, and compassion in our interactions. As we move forward, let us remember the lasting impact that our choices have on those who come after us. May we, like Abraham, Hagar, and Ishmael, walk with faith and courage, confident that even in the most challenging circumstances, God's promises continue to be fulfilled, bringing hope and light to our path. Thus, the journey of Ishmael and Isaac is not merely a tale of the past, but a living message that inspires us to cultivate faith, seek reconciliation, and value family connections. May we always remember that within every challenge lies an opportunity to experience God's grace and love in our lives. Thank you for joining in this reflection. May their stories and lessons continue to resonate in our hearts and actions.